What is up, guys? Wrestling Premiere is here. In the spirit of Halloween, I thought this was extremely befitting, as I've been playing SmackDown Shut Your Mouth over the last few days for a whole other video, and it felt right. So around late 2002, SmackDown was wild, and the good and bad was entertaining. The show had a winning formula that won viewers over, and this episode in particular is a great example of why it was strong at the time. Also, I highly recommend this episode because it was so damn good in a bunch of areas. Alright, enough talk, let's get into it. Kicking off the show, the SmackDown roster was shown having fun during a Halloween party. Guerrero was feeling pretty damn good, not only because of Halloween, but because of his match with Kurt Angle. They suddenly played a $2 version of InSync's Bye Bye Bye, and Stephanie listed the card. It was revealed that Mysterio for the first time ever faces Brock Lesnar, and that's just impressive. SmackDown intro plays, Pyro goes out, and the fans are hyped. So am I. The show emanated from Grand Rapids, Michigan, and the rating for the show was a 3.3, which was lower than the 3.7 in the previous week. Okay, the first match was between Edge and Chris Benoit. For context, Edge and Benoit were a part of the so-called SmackDown 6, and all of those men were pretty damn familiar with each other and made for some pretty compelling matches. The chemistry between those 6 men was something special. Chris Benoit recently captured the Tag Team Championships along with Kurt Angle, despite the tension between them. So the bell rings. Edge and Benoit quickly trade holds. Nobody took control from this yet, and Edge was focusing on the arm, whereas Benoit was quickly going after the neck. Chris's intensity helped him in this situation and allowed him to go for the headlock. Knocked down, and Edge stops him dead in his tracks. He goes for a gut buster of sorts, trying to work in the midsection, but Benoit had an answer in the form of a knife-edge chop. Still, this didn't stop Edge at all. He was showing aggression and was actually accomplishing something. Suddenly, the commentary revealed that Scott Steiner signed with WWE, and that's another story. In the ring, Edge was always hitting something related to the midsection, but Benoit caught him in a huge way, drop-kicking his shoulder. Thus, Edge was now on defense. Benoit was doing the same thing that Edge was doing to him. He's fully focused on one body limb. The tag champion locked him in an armbar, and the fans rallied the challenger on. He kind of broke free, but it was back to square one. He sent Edge into the corner before connecting with a back suplex, and he was bleeding from the nose at this point. Benoit was looking real comfortable. Edge failed to find a proper answer at this point, and it didn't help that the pace was slow. It was going very well for his opponent, and off the turnbuckle, Edge hits an elbow, but Benoit didn't go down. He climbed up top and paid the price. After the commercial break, it seemed like the tide switched, and judging by the sound of the crowd, a lot was missed. Edge failed the missile dropkick and was locked in the crossface. He reached the rope, and afterwards, Chris Benoit hit a hat trick of Germans before going up top. His headbutt was unsuccessful, and the ref begins the count. Both men began trading chops leading to the Edge-o-matic, but once again, Chris kicked out. Benoit was failing to do much here. Edge was just much more elusive. He's hitting a flapjack, and it was time for the spear. Benoit, though, had it scouted, and it's crossface time. Edge tried rolling through, but the pressure was on, and suddenly Kurt Angle, of all people, pulled his partner away, and Edge made things that much worse. He then follows up with an aerial move, but Benoit ducked, and they re-enter the ring, and from out of nowhere, Edge speared Benoit. 1, 2, 3. Good match. No wonder why SmackDown was awesome at the time. You had these men go out there and just do some extraordinary things. And to think this happened every week at the time, wow. Angle was enjoying what he saw, but this would clearly come back to bite him later on. Yes, as I said, very good opener. These men were in form at the time. They were having great matches with just about anybody, and this is proof of that. This is proof, they put on a good opener. Meanwhile, in the back, John Cena did his first ever televised rap. You had Tajiri accidentally bump into Mae Young, and Al Wilson was out there with Dawn Marie, which got the commentary laughing their asses off. After the commercial break, Benoit began looking for Angle. He's shouting all over the place, and it turns out that Kurt was right in front of him. In other places, Brock Lesnar was his usual stuff for Halloween. He met up with Paul Heyman, and this man was clearly hating. He didn't want to see his client face Big Show and was somewhat rude about it. He's like, oh, that's why people like me make decisions for people like you. Something along the lines of that. The next match was between Big Show and Rikishi. Around this time period, Big Show is Mr. Enhancement talent. The push that Big Show got in his early years was nowhere to be found, and all of a sudden, he started wearing jeans and a black shirt, and he started winning matches. The entire change basically turned Big Show from a 76 overall to an 88 overall, and with that said, Rikishi was eager to fight, but Big Show fooled him, and from here it was a very one-sided affair. And the funniest part is when Taz called Rikishi a main event level talent. In what world or place? Velocity? But anyways, Big Show whooped his ass from pillar to post, and it culminated with a chokeslam for the 1, 2, 3. I can't really rate this one. It was a way of rebuilding Big Show's reputation, and it worked. After the match, he told Brock Lesnar that this is just a taste of what to expect at Survivor Series, and challenged him to a fight. He even called him a little man, and right when he heard this, Brock felt challenged. Heyman begged him to listen, and after the commercial break, Big Show's like, I got all night long. In the meantime, footage was shown of The Undertaker getting thrown off the stage, and Big Show also added that unlike Brock, he took out The Undertaker. He even called Brock a child, saying he thinks that he could do anything he wants, and basically Big Show expected Brock to follow his path. He's gonna fall sooner or later, similar to him a few years ago. Hell, Big Show mentioned how Brock's own guy, Paul Heyman, knows that he can't beat the Big Show. All of a sudden, here comes the pain. The WWE champion stood his ground, took the mic away, and informed Big Show that he agrees that he's a giant. Then he called him a giant piece of. He took back the mic and walked away before saying that he's been advised not to beat Lesnar's ass until Survivor Series. Confusion was in the air, the commentary didn't understand what he was saying, and he threatened Brock for tonight before leaving. Okay, the next match was Chocolate Pit, Dawn Marie and Torrie Wilson. The commentary was just raving on about Dawn's costume, and Cole's like, I'd like for her to frisk me. Torrie Wilson, on the other hand, was, according to the commentary, a dominatrix Heidi. They began throwing cakes at each other before Torrie tackled her into the pool. The ref was dragged in as well, and the funniest part was Tez trying to provide literal play-by-play. He actually means he's like, oh, she's taking her shoe off or something along the lines of that. Torrie was hitting suplexes, stripping Dawn, and her costume was gone. The ref was desperately hanging on. Dawn's taking chops, and Torrie goes for the cover. 1, 2, 3. That's it. It lasted about 2 minutes. Much of the fans were loving this, and Tony Chimel was tossed into that chocolate pool. The match itself, the action, not good, but that's not the intention here. I wasn't expecting a technical clinic, and it clearly wasn't booked to be just that. In the back, Matt Hardy with a boombox popped up with his music playing and said that this party needs to be injected with a dose of matitude. The roster laughed it off and he trashed Tajiri for hanging out with these two. Mae Young randomly kissed him and I guess the match was on. After the commercial loss, Guerrero asked for a shot at the tag team titles and John Cena popped up doing yet another rap, which Stephanie didn't understand. What Cena was saying was that her father was in her office. This revelation was treated like a huge deal. He wasn't out there for Halloween, according to the commentary. The next match was between Matt Hardy and Tajiri. Mr. I Can Slap a Tornado was somewhat revitalized and for the first time was actually doing better than his brother. Tajiri was around the cruiserweight scene, he's not doing much here, although he would actually do something a few months later. The bell rings and Hardy catches Tajiri with an arm drag. Collar and elbow, side headlock, and he's got a wrist lock. Tajiri figures it out and sends him flying. Matt tries stealing it quickly but failed and his ego got the best of him and his face met with Tajiri's foot. Asai moonsault and in the ring Matt catches him with a side effect. But it wasn't enough for the win, so he continues applying pressure. Minus a little chop from Tajiri, Hardy was in control. He dropped him on the ropes before hitting a slam of swords. The fans tried railing him on, but even then Matt had a tight grip. He goes up top and Tajiri avoids the leg drop. Ref starts counting. They trade strikes and Tajiri from out of nowhere caught him with a drop kick and then a lethal kick. Hardy was struggling bad around here, and he was almost caught with the tarantula, but it wasn't to be. Hardy starts getting frustrated, and there it is. The kick wasn't to be, though, when Hardy hits the low blow before connecting with a twist of fate. Not a bad match at all. Tajiri's offense looked so damn dangerous, he looked good as well out there, and I was pretty into the match. He was treated like a threat here as Hardy had to cheat to win, so that's cool to see. Backstage, Stephanie meets up with her father, apparently, and he reveals that Scott Steiner's joining Raw. She questioned him, and suddenly Eric Bischoff reveals himself before swooping in for a kiss. Stephanie was battling up, but she started enjoying it. Fans go crazy, and those two just awkwardly stared at each other. That is definitely one of the most memorable moments in SmackDown history, as well as Eric Bischoff's career. It just came from out of nowhere. And what's odd about this to me is the fact that Vince was standing right next to them directing the segment. Like, what's up with that? The story, despite being pretty huge, was never followed up on, which I find odd. It was a big story, and they actually should have made something out of it, right? And the next match was between Kurt Angle and Eddie Guerrero. Similar to Edge and Benoit, these two are feuding as well. Immediately, both men quickly went after each other with takedowns. Angle, though, easily dominated Eddie to send him running. Latino heel was somewhat frustrated by this, and Eddie had to switch it up by actually fighting. Even then, Angle had loads of intensity. One mistake, though, and Eddie's got it. He kicks up the tempo and refuses to allow Angle a moment. The fans tried railing Kurt Angle on, but he failed to make a comeback, and Eddie's trying to wear him down, but the Olympic hero battled out and hit a power slam. Even then, Eddie knew what's up and drop-kicked the leg. He connects with a suplex off the apron, and this gives him a 2 count. Back to work. Angle never got to figure it out. He was locked in this triangle choke, and after a while, caught Guerrero with the ankle lock. That never amounted to much, and Eddie realized that he shouldn't allow Angle any breathing room. Off the turnbuckle, and it's German time. Just not for Kurt Angle. Once both men recovered, they engaged in the slugfest won by Angle, and it's comeback time. Latino heel was feeling it here. Angle was all fired up and was persistent on the attack, and at one point, Eddie had seemed to catch him, but Angle pulled out and hit a hat trick of Germans. He pulls the straps down, and Eddie quickly counters a slam before walking into a clothesline. At one point, he bounced back with a cool tornado DDT, but it wasn't enough for the 3. From here, Eddie locked in the lasso from El Paso, but Kurt countered into the ankle lock. Nonetheless, he reached the rope, and this is when Eddie cheated. He low-blowed Angle and hit a suplex and was looking for the frog splash. Angle, though, shoved the referee into the rope, and all of a sudden, Chavo made a run in before Benoit blasted Angle with the title. Eddie hits the frog splash. 1, 2, 3. Good match. Watching here, you can notice that these two were at another level. And this obviously isn't a favor because they didn't seem to go all out, and there were much better matches in the future. For a TV match, it was very entertaining, and you can notice that it's just another day for these two. Like, it wasn't even close to one of their best TV matches of the year. Like, I could list a couple of matches that they had that were better than this one. Afterwards, Benoit decided to whack everybody in sight, including Eddie and Chavo, who thought that he was on their side. After the commercial, Kurt Angle crashed the party. He was whining about this when all of a sudden he whooped Shannon Moore's ass and asked for Benoit. Cameo from Brother Love, and from out of nowhere, Benoit struck. The tag team champions were brawling. They traded submission holds, and this culminated with Angle slamming Chris through a table while at the same time hurting himself. Insanity. No wonder why this episode was fun. And the main event, Rey Mysterio faces Brock Lesnar. Rey back in 2002 was something else. Immediately after signing with WWE, he took the company by storm. It was a sensational addition to the SmackDown brand and just a joy to watch. Brock Lesnar, you know what's up. He was the youngest WWE champion, was a specimen, a beast, a freak of nature, and was doing extremely well at this point. With that said, Rey realized what's up and started making him go crazy. His speed was helping a lot, but once he was caught, it seemed like he was done. But Mysterio was so damn intelligent, the crowd was all for it. Now Lesnar caught him, this time for real, and ran him into the post. The pace was slow at this point. Brock was lifting him up like nothing and Rey was screaming. Brock dropped him right onto the mat, tossed him around like a baby, but he got ahead of himself and Rey hit the 619 before targeting the knee. Fans started believing, but Bischoff from out of nowhere catches him and threw him into the crowd like a toy. Like the man just didn't have to do Rey like that. Upon seeing this, Brock went on the attack but failed and Bischoff slammed him through the tables and SmackDown on top. Crazy stuff once more. So that's the Halloween episode. The main event itself, it didn't really last long, but it was very fun to watch. Like, you're watching Rey Mysterio trying to best Brock. He didn't even look bad out there at all. Matter of fact, they showed that he actually had a chance near the end. It was Big Show who caused the interference, so that's cool to see. Overall, it was just a fun all-around show. Some great matches going on, you know. You had Edge and Benoit, you had Kurt Angle and Eddie going at it. Fun backstage stuff. You seen John Cena rap. You seen Tajiri trying to mess around with Mae Young. Kurt Angle and Benoit arguing. It's just a fun episode to watch. If you've never seen it before, if you've never watched it before, it is a must. It's one of the best episodes in SmackDown history, in my personal opinion. And probably, off the top of my head, it is the best episode of SmackDown from 2002. It was just that damn fun, and I can't recommend it enough. Match of the night for me is Kurt Angle and Eddie Guerrero. I seem to really enjoy this one a bit more than Edge and Benoit. There's just something else about this one. What did you guys think of the Halloween episode of SmackDown? Please comment down below. And that's it for this video. Make sure you hit the frog splash on the like button, perhaps the F5 on the subscribe button. Peace. I'm out.